Welcome to the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. Our theme for 2025 is the future of work. Meaning is the new money. In a world shaped by rapid innovation and constant change, the pursuit of purpose and impact has never been more important. I'm Dr. John Dentico, your host, bringing over 30 years of experience in leadership, strategic thinking, and purpose-driven innovation. Here, we tackle the pressing challenges of our time, from the rise of artificial intelligence to the growing need for meaning in the workplace. Together, we'll uncover how leaders can ethically integrate AI to enhance decision-making and keep humanity at the heart of their organizations. Remember, amidst all the technological advancements, in the end, it's always about the people. This podcast is your resource for actionable tools, thought-provoking discussions, and inspiring stories. It's time to go beyond leadership development and focus on leadership impact, creating workplaces where people thrive, innovation flourishes, and meaning truly becomes the new currency. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Now, let's throttle up and dive into today's episode. Hello and welcome to the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. With me today is Bogdan Rosu, the fastest coach in the world. He's a high-performance coach, identity transformation expert, and martial artist who helps elite leaders remove deep, unseen barriers in minutes, unlocking clarity, confidence, and effortless leadership. As the founder of Dragon 88, an invite-only community for 7 to 9-figure entrepreneurs and executives, Bogdan specializes in helping high-level leaders scale without stress, master decision-making, and lead with precision. His unique approach blends high-performance coaching, identity transformation, and martial arts philosophy, equipping leaders with the tools to operate at their peak without burnout. Bogdan is also the author of an upcoming book titled Greatness and Mastery, 10 Principles for Martial Arts and Personal Development for a Great and Masterful Life, where he shares powerful insights on leadership, resilience, and self-mastery. In an era of rapid AI advancements and shifting business landscapes, Bogdan teaches leaders how to overcome hidden mental resistance, operate beyond survival mode, and harness self-mastery to thrive in the future of work. His mission is simple: help leaders break through unseen limitations and lead with clarity, confidence, and mastery. And I'm truly pleased to have him here with me on the podcast today. Good morning, Bogdan. How are you?
Hi, John, and thank you for the introduction. I love how you refine these introductions. It's way better than the information I sent you, so much appreciation for that. I might put
I'll
it on
send
my
you a
LinkedIn
copy.
and say, here's what Dr. John had to say.
Well, I'll send you a copy. You can just copy and cut and paste it. There you go. So anyway, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and some of the influences in your early life.
Yeah, great question. I grew up in a small city in Romania called Tecuci. It roughly translates into some old language or Slavic language, because in that part of the country, we have a stronger Russian influence, Slavic influence. It translates into flow. And yes, it's to flow, basically. And that was interesting because I became really passionate about martial arts because of my cousin. He's a black belt on karate black belt. He said he used to be, but I don't believe him. It's yeah, you are or you're not. And he's definitely still got it. I started training martial arts when I was 13. So really fell in love with it. I just couldn't relate to people watching soccer, football in Romania. That's the biggest sport here. I was always pulled to this thing that it's not just physical, it was also mental. My karate teacher back then had a huge influence on me because he was interested in so many different areas of life, like nutrition. He was a biology teacher working for the municipality and teaching karate. Later, when I went for college in Greece, I studied hotel management. That's when I found Wing Chun, the martial art that Bruce Lee started with. All the speed, the power, the one-inch punch. He learned from Wing Chun. And that's when I fell in love even deeper, because Wing Chun is less about technique and it's all about principle. A principle you can use with your arm, you can use with the stick, you can use it in your business, you can use it in your relationships. It's universal. In my second year of college, somebody got me into this multi-level marketing business. I didn't make any money, but I fell in love with personal development. When I eventually came back to Romania, I combined these two passions with the guidance of a mentor and created the first personal development through martial arts program in the world. And that was a lot of fun because we were taking all these, training our bodies, but also our minds, and then going beyond that. Because the question was always, how do we apply this to become more successful at our jobs, get out of our shyness, our comfort zones, and get into relationships, meet more exciting people, and stuff like that. The transformations were incredible. Later, I realized that I was actually more of a coach than I knew. Now I'm realizing that I'm more something else than a coach. That's my journey.
Oh, great. I appreciate that very much. It's young influences and just the things that you learn. There's a saying that everything you learn never goes to waste. It all adds up. And as you get older, certainly when you gain that level of wisdom from all the different things that you've done, there's another great line that the more you study something deeply, the more you see its connection to everything else.
Are you calling me old, John?
I'm not calling you old. I wouldn't do that. I may be calling myself old, but that's beside the point. But again, it's just a state of mind, isn't it?
Yes.
So anyway, I appreciate that. Let me ask you this question. You're known as the fastest coach in the world. Can you share what that means and how your approach helps leaders break through unseen barriers in minutes?
Well, nobody has faster hands than me. No, I'm joking. The reason why this is not something that came necessarily from myself. I've never had a client who was, oh my God, you're my first coach. They all came after having multiple coaches, consultants, mentors, and kind of getting results, but not really where they wanted to be. What they told me was that I see them at a soul level. What does that mean? Because of my martial arts training, these principles, in Wing Chun, you develop this extreme sensitivity. I just need to touch your hand. I know when your intention comes to hit me. All I need is the contact. All I need is the bridge, right? So that's one principle. The second principle is, imagine you want to hit something. If you're focused on the target, you're limiting your power, your impact. So what you want is to focus behind the target. So when you're punching through. That's in a sense the essence of my coaching, because I can listen to someone for 5 minutes. I can already tell what's really going on, what they're worried about, what's holding them back. It's a combination between very deep intuitive listening and seeing what's hidden behind the curtain. Circling back to my martial arts training, I realized that everything is yin and yang. You cannot make a leap forward just through mindset alone. You need both the mindset and the right strategy. So I spent more than a decade studying the best business leaders and how do they think? How do they approach business? What are their principles? How do they delegate? How do they hire? And guess what? It's different than 99% of the people out there. So how do they sell? How do they market? So on and so forth. My approach is, hey, here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I think you're holding yourself back. And I feel like this adjustment in your strategy will lead to a better result. And usually it takes 10 minutes for them to be, I don't believe it. This is the biggest breakthrough I've had in years. Yeah, of course, because I actually listen. I was shocked to see your job as a coach is to listen. Your job as a leader is to listen. But maybe I had this unfair advantage of listening with my body first to then learn to listen with my mind.
It's very interesting. It reminds me of the times that I used to do a lot of negotiation.
Mm.
Certainly, listening is essential in negotiation. When I was negotiating contracts for a company I work for, and there was resistance, for example, or there was this resistance to compromise, if you will. I noticed that sometimes, and many times actually, the resistance was something that they considered significant, and I considered just a bump in the road. You're concerned about that? Oh, we'll fix that, and we'll write that into the contract so you don't have to worry about it. Oh yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Everything just flowed right after that. A lot of times, I found that the person that you're dealing with thinks it's almost insurmountable, but it's really not as big as they imagine it to be. I'd love to
100%.
get your reflection on that.
100%. I'll give you something more visceral in that sense. This is back when I had no idea about coaching. Somebody came to me when I was teaching martial arts. It's like, look, I need your help. I don't want to learn martial arts, but I need your help. Her ex-boyfriend was a student of mine. She had broken her, I don't know what this bone is called here, between the elbow and the shoulder. She fell and broke that bone completely. She had a titanium rod through the bone. She couldn't even shower, constantly in pain. And one of the first things that, again, intuitively felt to do with her was feel the pain. Like really feel it in every cell of your body. When she got overwhelmed, she started crying. And then I said, now make yourself bigger than the pain. That night, she showered for the first time in weeks by herself. A few weeks later, she went to her doctor. Her doctor was like, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. This is to say that we have this habit of, just like you said, making this small bump bigger than ourselves. Oh, I don't know how we're ever going to solve this. I don't know if I can make this deal. I don't know if I can make this work. I don't know if I can apply this to make it work for me. I don't know if I'm going to find the right team member, the team member that I want, so on and so forth. We have this habit of making ourselves smaller, when in fact, we're like these gigantic beings. But we're afraid of our power. We're afraid of who we are because we associate it with arrogance and feeling isolated, when it's actually the exact opposite.
The human mind is such a wonderful, I say it's wonderful and it's messy at the same time. And trying to get through those barriers can be difficult. I have learned so much from my guests, especially those who've endured very, very difficult times, unbelievable challenges. Never once did I ever hear the whisper of being a victim. They just got up the next day and tried to figure out how they could change their lives. Two of my guests
Yeah.
went to prison for 2 years and told me prison saved their lives. When they got out, they were converted, in a sense, to I'm going to create a better life for myself. And now they're doing incredibly well, which I'm glad to see. They're great people. It's something I'm really zeroing in on lately myself, and that is hire for heart. Hire people who've been through difficult, complex times because they know how to solve problems. They know how to get things done. They've proven it beyond a shadow of a doubt. Let's move on in
100%.
our questioning here if we can.
To that
Go
point,
ahead.
if I may add, one of the
Sure.
best hiring insights that I've ever heard was hire the person who doesn't need the job. It's very, very tangential to what you were sharing, because somebody who went through a powerful transformation, going to prison, and oh no, my standards from now on are higher, never again. That person can get any job they want. But the answer is, why would they work for you? And actually, there's many reasons why.
They're both entrepreneurs now. One's in the medical field, one's in the financial field. Made a lot of money when he was young.
Mhm.
Got mixed up with drugs. Happens. And now today he's back in the game and doing extremely well. Have
Sales
guests
training.
like, what's that?
That's good training.
It's good. I would think it would be for sure. Let me ask you another question. You've worked with elite entrepreneurs and executives inside your Dragon 88 community. What are the most common leadership blind spots you see, and how do they hold leaders back? What are the things that keep coming up? They're the gifts that keep on giving, so to speak.
Yeah. Everybody thinks they have a marketing, sales, hiring, delegation problem. They don't. They all have an identity problem. You still see yourself as the hustler. You still get a lot out of the identity of, I'm a problem solver. I'm a master at marketing. I'm a master salesman. Yes, you are. But so what? Your next level is not to be a master. Your next level is to be a master maker or a master recruiter, somebody who can lead masters. And what's really missing is that they don't see, they're the bottleneck of the business. If people in the business look up at you, you're always going to have to hold them by the hand. Instead, you want a vision that is so simple, so exciting, so easy to share that they look up at the vision and they give you better ways of achieving the vision. There's a reason why Microsoft became Microsoft. They had a very simple, easy to share vision, a computer on every desk. It was insane. They're huge, they're expensive. And now we have computers everywhere, right? This is what is required. Same with SpaceX, right? That's why Elon spends a lot of time optimizing whatever he can. But the reason why so many genius level people want to work for SpaceX is because they're not, oh, we're building rockets. No, we're building an interplanetary species. The energy of that is totally different.
Yeah. It's very interesting that you mention him because there's a story I'm trying to run to ground. I wrote to SpaceX to see if I could find out if the story is true. And the story I heard was there was a guy who worked for SpaceX and he was married. He had 2 children and he decided that he had to leave. He wasn't spending enough time with his family. So he left. He apparently went to Elon or to one of the senior managers. I have to leave. I have a wife, 2 children. I want to spend time with them. So he left and he found a great job and he was doing well and he was home more often with his family. About 6 or 7 months later, he called back and he said, listen, I'd like to come back. And they said, wait a minute. Now you left to be with your wife and children. He said, oh, yeah, that's great. He said, but I don't want to die of boredom. And I'll tell you, lately I have been on this kick and really have returned to this subject with great fervor. And that is, just as you say, the power of a simple mission statement, one sentence. This is who we are. This is what we do. This is where we're going. And within that statement, to ensure that even if they're implied, the values of your organization. These are our values. We're looking for people who can synchronize with these values. I think it's so, so very important. Yet, many times you'll see mission statements that are a page long, 5 or 6 paragraphs long. You go, wait a minute, what are you people all about? How do you get people to live it, breathe it, and do it every day if it's so complex? They're trying to be liked by everybody. They want to cover the numbers, so to speak. You just can't do that. I'd love to get your reflection on that particular idea.
What I really enjoyed about your guest form is that you asked about that. What's your vision statement? It's the most important thing. It's whenever I start working with someone, this is the first thing I do with them. What do you want to do? If you can't tell me in 4 or 5 words, you either don't understand it or you have no idea what you're doing or where you're going. And you're solving each fire as it shows up. You don't have a business, you have a job.
It's a job, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's not easy to do, right? Now we have GPT, we can do it in 20, 30 minutes. We can find something that's workable. First time I did this with a client, I spent 90 minutes with him and his team just to brainstorm to find something that clicked. It's worth the investment. It's your North Star. You want to be motivated, but they're circling back to martial arts. There's yin, there's yang, they're push and pull. If you're constantly pushing yourself towards something, it's exhausting. But if you have that why that is so exciting for you, it's going to pull you towards it. It's an energetic entity, that thing, that why that you've created. it has pull. It has gravity. Question is, how big is it? Because the bigger you make it, the more gravity it has. And it's not just going to pull you. It's going to find other people by itself that's going to pull them forward. It's like, even job offers, responsibilities, role, compensation. You're boring. These high-level people, you're not standing out with anything. But if you have that vision statement, start the job offer with the vision statement. Position the values as benefits of being in the company instead of, oh, we value growth. So what? Everybody else. No, tell me, how am I going to grow in your business?
Right. And I think it's become self-evident in some respects if the mission statement is set correctly, because people will be energized to grow. The number one thing that people are searching for, my research says, and I've talked to people all over the world. Here I'm talking to you in Romania. I've got someone in Dubai coming up, Germany, the UK, Australia, Canada, India. Everybody agrees. It's the same problem with whomever I talk with, and that is values alignment. People want to work for an organization whose values are aligned with their own. And it's important for the organization to ensure that its values are clearly articulated so that when you bring somebody in, you're not just hiring a body, you're hiring a values-based individual who's going to contribute to the organization. You're feeding their energy. You're feeding their ability to want to be part of your organization. I agree with you 100%. Any reflection on that?
Yeah, people will accept lower pay. To anybody saying, oh, I don't have a budget to hire exceptional people, it's not the budget, it's your positioning. How are you presenting the thing? Do you want proof that people will do the job for lesser pay? Why do star players start their own businesses? Is it because they're going to make more money than their jobs in the first month? Absolutely not. But provide them with that match where they can feel that they are the perfect fit, providing the environment to grow, to flourish, to be heard, to be seen in the workplace, to contribute, to make a difference. That's the biggest driver for high performers.
Right.
And they will flourish and they will help you flourish. We need to get the job done. We need to get the mission done. What about their mission? What about their dreams?
Has to be one and the same. You have to create a convergence
Yeah.
of
And
values alignment is so important. Interestingly enough, the number two requirement for people in this multi-generational workforce is they want to be involved in the decision-making processes of the organization. So it's more than just, I want to feel like I'm part of it, to I want to know I'm part of it because you're involved in helping to make the decisions that move the company or the organization forward. So it's a very, very interesting switch, a different take, if you will, on things.
I was having a conversation with one of my clients who's leading. Every week, there was a new product that she created that the team was supposed to market and sell. And I'm like, listen, you're insane, number one, if you think this is going to work. Number two, I get that you need this creative outlet, but 80% stability because your team needs stability. And then 20% of your time, allocate 20% of your budget to experimenting, to testing out new product ideas and stuff like that. So the conflict with, okay, but what if every high performer, I'm already feeling into that objection. What if every high performer has this opinion about, well, let's go in this direction? I think this, create a 10% fund, a 10% experimentation play fund where they can go out and test this idea, take it to market or test it out with a few people in the company, come back to me after a month with the results, and then we'll discuss.
Yeah. I am absolutely, and I've always been this way, I've absolutely believe in the concept of rapid prototyping, where you take a certain amount of money, it's just like you said, set it aside, and use that money to do experimentation, pilot programs. Let's pilot something. Let's see what happens. We're not afraid to lose the money. We may hit gold. We may strike gold. Or we may find out what doesn't work. Those kinds of things. I think, look, all you have to do is take a step.
R&D.
Just take a step back and look at Firefly. We just landed a lander on the moon. Firefly, private organization, SpaceX. Okay, we're going to build this interplanetary travel capability. We know we're going to fail on the way, and we'll learn from our failures. Here they are, leading the whole space world. It's just incredible. Why? Rapid prototyping. We're not afraid to take some risks. We're not afraid to make mistakes. We're not afraid to try something new and see if it works. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And become a zealot for rapid prototyping, no matter what your product or service is, no matter what business you're in. Try to get something, as you say, put aside some money and see what happens. And chances are you'll have a shot at striking gold. So I appreciate that. Let me ask you this next question. Your upcoming book, Greatness and Mastery, explores principles for martial arts and personal development. What's one principle from the book that every leader should apply immediately?
Be water, my friend. The classic Bruce Lee quote. He said, water can flow or it can crash. Yes, but water is also consciousness. It's also life. It's vitality. You're not just a force of destruction or molding yourself into a container. You know who you are. You are a life giver. And not just of the business because you gave life to your business or to the project. Be a giver of excitement. Be a giver of truth, especially when it's uncomfortable. Do it in an elegant way, right? We have water, wood, earth. I'm mixing them up. Water, wood, earth, and fire. Water is a lot of circles, right? So I was telling you in the beginning, you can use the principle in everything, right? Fire is like, hey, I think you're wrong. No, I think you're wrong. Metal is, hey, I don't agree with this. Shut up and do it. Very militaristic, right? Whereas water is, I don't agree with this direction. Interesting. Tell me more. Why do you believe that? They're like, well, because this, and that. That's interesting. Have you considered this angle? You're taking energy and redirecting it and playing with it. This is how you hold your own in a conversation.
Yeah, I think we have too many conversations and not enough dialogue. You know, where dialogue is there's the transference of meaning, where people are open to it.
I think the key is in the word, right? Because what do you need? You have to dial first to have the dialogue. So you need to know the other person's number or actually ask for the person's numbers to actually have a dialogue first, right? So what's your number? That's what I'm always asking. Like, where are you? Where are you? Can I catch that to create that connection? That's the first step, I think.
I have a friend of mine, good friend of mine, but there's no such thing as dialogue. There's debate. He has to win. So every time he tries to lure me into one of his things, I'll just go, I'm not going there. That's not going to happen. I know what the end looks like. There is no transference here. No matter what I say, I will never convince you to take one step away from your own thoughts. So it's a very interesting dynamic. Still a good guy, but not the guy you want to get into a conversation with if he's in debate mode.
Yeah, the question is, have you really won if you still have the same ideas you came into the debate with? Did you really win?
Did you get anything out of it? Right. That's exactly right. Let's talk about AI just for a second. With AI rapidly changing industries, I'm sure you see that. You talk about the importance of identity and self-mastery for leaders. How should executives prepare themselves mentally and strategically for the future of work?
Well, it's with every revolution. We thought machines are going to replace humans. They didn't. We just found more creative outlets. I was listening to this idea the other day. It's not that it would replace the job, it would replace the meaningless, repetitive, soul-crushing jobs. So I think it's just more space for creativity and bringing more of yourself to the work and having more of that experimentation. I don't think the future is dire. If we're going to look at the identity level, are you choosing an identity of fear? Because that's exactly what you're going to get. Or are you choosing an identity of, will adapt? Again, going back to be water. Water adapts. It flows with it. So that's one thing. But here's a question that I would love to leave your audience with. Ask yourself, if you already were that version of you that you're aiming towards, let's say that version of you 10 years from now, how would that version of you approach AI? Considering that they've had the experience, considering that they've achieved the goal, meaning that they've learned how to master it. So how would they approach this new era of life? How would that version of you from the future approach everything right now in this moment? You find yourself taking action with a lot more confidence, wasting a lot less energy, and being a lot more impactful.
Very interesting take on doing that. It's like asking yourself, it's an interesting experiment I tried on myself many years ago at a time when I was feeling very insecure. And I said to myself, how do the most secure people in the world feel? What is it like for them every day? It's a very interesting experiment and really helped me greatly just to imagine. Imagination is the single most powerful force on earth. Einstein told us that. So use it. You don't have to go down to the local store and buy any. You got it. So I remember doing that, and it really helped me take a much broader perspective of things in life. Where would I be? What would I think? Exercises can be very, very helpful. As we're getting close to the end, I'd like to ask you my world famous question, and that is, if you had a magic wand and you could change anything that you see in the area that you work, for example, what would that thing be, and why did you choose that?
It's really empowerment. If I change that, I would be out of a job and have to work on something else, which I'm not opposed to. By all means, take it away. Everybody loves to throw this empowerment word around, thinking of the most confident people in the world, the most secure. Spoiler, they don't exist. What's the difference? The difference is that just you're taking a shower, you're taking a shower for your mind, right? So I would say education. Kids are already super smart, but having a higher emphasis on, hey, your mind is your best friend or your worst enemy. Be careful, monitor your thoughts, monitor what you're putting inside of you. That's key, I think.
Very interesting. A lot of people don't really understand what empowerment means. From my perspective, it's become a mega word. Everybody uses it. You just get blasted every day with the word empowerment. There was a wonderful man by the name of Charles Handy, one of the best management thinkers to walk the planet. He was Peter Drucker's equivalent in Europe. I've always been reluctant to use this quote, but I used it before. And here's Handy's quote: empowerment is inherently a contradictory idea. If power can be bestowed, it can also be taken away, and therefore represents no power at all.
Ooh, I like.
It is at best benevolence, at worst manipulation.
I got goosebumps. That's so good.
And he offers another concept called subsidiarity. You can look up Charles Handy, Handy. Subsidiarity is power is already located in the lowest point in the organization. You have to give power. Power is there already. Power is with the people, with the knowledge, the experience, the background, the thoughts, the ideas of people. The problem is that you get a mega word like empowerment and everybody jumps on the train. Empowerment. We have empowerment conferences. But people don't understand that two other words you can use that are synonymous with empowerment is delegation. And we've been talking about delegation for 50 years, and permission. And we have to give people permission to take something and go do it. I believe that what people really want is subsidiarity. The problem is they call it empowerment. It's a great word. It just flows off the tongue. It's very sexy, empowerment. But you got to be careful what kind of clothing the wolf is wearing. You know what I'm saying? And it goes to the leadership practices of today. One of the other things I've talked about in the last few months is who's the smartest person in the room? You get a group of people together, who's the smartest person? CEO? Maybe. CFO? Maybe. How about the 26 or 27-year-old person who's prompting AI 4 to 6 hours a day? Universal reach across information and knowledge. That person may be the smartest person in the room. So how do we invite them into a process? How do we create a leadership dynamic that allows them to fully participate in what we're doing in the organization? Any thoughts on that?
Yes. I was paralleling from the organization to the individual level as well. That's so cool. I always describe this to my clients. Leadership is not follow my lead. Leadership is when the marketing expert is talking, everybody shuts up and listens and takes notes. When the cleaning staff is talking, you shut up and take notes. All of these insights add up because we have this hierarchical idea, and my boss will figure out, or it's my boss's responsibility. Right now, you're the boss. Let's listen. How can we do things differently? I think that's huge. And the value of this is, it is a skill because you have to sift through the nonsense as well. But at the end of the day, it's worth it, I think.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's a changing work world. It's going to be very interesting, pretty exciting in the years to come. I want to thank you so very much for your time today on the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. I wish you all great success in the future. I hope your book sells a million copies, and I wish you the best. Thank you so very much.
I appreciate you.